Hey everyone, and welcome to this tutorial in which I'm going to show you how to build an AI image analyzer that essentially takes an image such as this image of a party cactus and allows you to ask questions about it, such as what is strange about this plant? We will then be building out a backend that allows us to take the image and the text that we sent from our front end and get a text response from OpenAI, such as the funky cactus has got googly eyes that aren't typically seen on the popular succulent. We are going to be using GPT-4o at the time of recording, but if you are watching this in the future, I'm going to show you how to account for newer models of GPT, so don't worry, I have you covered. Today's episode is sponsored by Mailtrap, an email delivery platform that developers love. What's cool about Mailtrap? It's actionable analytics, the best in the industry, with full statistics and drill-down reports on each and every email you send. Mailtrap offers separate streams for transactional and bulk emails, SMTP and API integrations, plus SDKs for major programming languages. At Mailtrap, human support is available round the clock for all customers. Try today at mailtrap.io. Mailtrap also have a video on AI and email content creation on their channel, so please do check it out. Otherwise, let's get going. As always, I am going to keep this super basic so you can take this project, take it to the next level, style it up, and really make it your own. Please also do share it with me, as I would love to see what you have built. Okay, so let's create a new project. This is going to be a React project with a Node.js backend, so let's go ahead and spin that up. In WebStorm, it is a bunch easier because I just have to select new projects and then select React, and it will essentially spin up a project for me. So let's go ahead and call this React Vision App. And it will essentially use this command to spin up all the files and configurations that we need for this project. So please go ahead and click Create. If you don't have WebStorm, don't worry. Same process, just get up your terminal, move to a directory that you like to store your projects, and then just use npx create react app. So you'll see there's a space there, this is all one word, and then just whatever you want to call your project, so vision app, okay, and hit enter. But of course, I'm not going to do it this way because I'm doing it in WebStorm, so I'm going to hit enter here and click create. And great, so that is now, like I said, installing all the files and configuration that we need. So far, just the package.json file has been created, but this directory will soon have everything that we need to our disposal. So let's just wait for that to do its thing. So great, that is now done. Amazing. So you will see, like I said, all the files and configuration, along with all the versions of the packages that we're going to be using today. So here are the versions, okay? You will see the packages or dependencies that have been installed. And we are going to be installing a few more, including OpenAI. So just bear with me for that. You will see the version of OpenAI that I'm using for this tutorial because things are moving super fast. So keep note of the version, keep that in mind, and make sure it's the same as mine in here. Okay? For now, let's move on. I'm just going to tidy this up. We're just going to delete the setup tests and report web vitals, the logo. So let's just go ahead and delete those three. So there they go. Let's put them in the bin. Let's delete the test file here, so delete that one as well. And the app CSS file, because it was just a simple app, okay? We're just gonna have one style sheet. It's not about the styling, we just wanna make the app so you can take it, make it your own, and yeah, just have fun with it. So great, in the index.js file, once again, I'm just gonna delete all of that. So that means we can delete that import. I'm just gonna make this bigger for you. And then I'm just going to delete the semicolons too, as I don't like them. So that's all that should be in your index.js file. The index CSS file, I'm going to delete everything so we can start from scratch. And the app.js file, well, once again, I'm just going to delete everything in the return apart from the div. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to delete that import as well as that import. And let's change it to a functional expression just because I prefer to work with functional expressions. Whoops, there we go. So great, we're just returning a div for now. And there we go. So once again, this is the content of my app.js, this is the content of my index.css, this is the content of my index.js, and that's the only 3 files we should have in the source directory. And great, let's get going. We're ready to roll. Okay, so step 1 is to essentially do the backend. I'm going to do the backend on the same level as the package.json, so just click on here and just create a new file. I'm going to call this server.js. So there we go. And the first thing I'm going to do is actually write a script that will start the backend. So for this, we're going to have to write that script in the package.json file. So here's the start script. In general, to start the app, the front end, I'm going to differentiate this script. So I'm going to put start front end, and then I'm going to write another script called start backend to run the backend. And we're going to listen out for constant changes on the server.js file. To listen out for constant changes, we did a package called nodemon. Okay, so nodemon is the package we need. So let's go ahead and install it. I'm going to do npm I nodemon, making sure I am in the React Gemini Vision app. So just hit enter and you will see that show up essentially here along with its version. So keep that version in mind, make sure it's the same as mine. Another package we are going to use is OpenAI. So I'm just going to go ahead and install that right now. So npm OpenAI is another package that we are going to need. And like I said, this one is super important in regards to the version because stuff is changing so quickly. So if you're in the future watching this and it's 5, just change it to a 4 and then do npm I again to install that version. Okay, but of course I'm not going to do it because it's already on 4.47.2. Some other packages we're going to need are cores to help us get rid of any pesky cores messages, so npm cores. We're also going to need express to help us with our routing in the backend, .env to hide our secret variables in a secret file, fs and multer. This is going to help us with handling images that we're going to send from the front end to the back end, and I think that's it. So let's hit enter. And let's watch those packages and their versions get installed. So whoop, there we go. These are the ones we are using today. Great. Pause here if you need to change anything. Otherwise, let's carry on. So now maybe let's start our front end and our back end. So easy start front end is this. So npm run this time. Start front end and hit enter, and this should spin up our front end on localhost 3000. Okay, so there we go. Of course, it's empty for now because we don't have anything in here apart from one div. So if you inspect the page and look in the div with the ID of root, you will see that one div, which is essentially in our app.js file. So great. Hopefully you have that div there, and let's move on. Now let's start the backend. So I'm going to get another tab because I want to keep that running in this tab. So let's get that up. And this time I'm going to do npm run and of course start backend. So there we go, and hit enter. So that is now essentially listening out for changes on our server.js file. I think we're done with our package.json, so I'm just going to shut that down. And in here, it would be nice to actually have like a little message just so we know that everything's working. And let's also define our port that we want our backend to be on. I'm going to say I want it to be on port 8000. Okay, I'm just going to minimize that for now. So we've defined our port. We're also going to get all the packages that we need. So let's do require express const cores require cores, like I said, to get rid of any pesky cores messages. And then we're going to essentially get express, because at the moment we've got the package express and dumped everything in here. But in order to use it, we need to release it and then store it under app. So now app holds all the wonderful methods and properties that come with express, which means we can now essentially write app listen to listen out for any changes on our port, which is 8000. So now let's write a callback function. I was just going to write in our terminal down here, listening on port. Let's make this backticks actually, so we can pass through some code with a $curly braces, and then just print out the port. So now essentially in here, listening on port 8000. And that's going to restart our app each time we make a change in here. Great. So cool, let's continue. So now that we know that we are listening out to changes in this file, let's carry on. Another thing we can do is use app use and then get cause and call it to get rid of any cause pesky messages that we might see. We're also going to do app use. We're going to get express JSON just so we can pass JSON from the front end to the back end without any problems. We're also going to require the package .env, and this is going to essentially help us store secrets like our API keys in a separate file completely to this file, just in case we want to upload this onto GitHub or something. And next, like I said, we're going to do FS. So FS and Malta are two packages that we're going to use in order to, once again, pass images and help us get images from the front end and store them in our backends. So const Malta equals require Malta. Great. So amazing. One other thing that we're going to need is the OpenAI package. So maybe let's get to that when we actually need it. For now, I just want to essentially get images from the front end and save them to our backend. So that's step one. And in order to do this, I'm going to write a function. So first we need to define our storage. So we're going to get the package Malta, making sure to spell correctly, and use the method disk storage from it and pass through an object. And this object, essentially we're going to define the destination where we want to save the images in this project. So let's pass through the rec file cb. This is just the syntax you need for Malta, so just like that. And then let's define the destination. So I'm going to put my images in the public directory here. So they'll be saved in here. Okay? Great. So just delete everything in the public directory minus the index HTML file. So that's the only thing that should exist. So I'm going to minimize that for now so we can continue. That's the destination. And now we can also format the file name that we want to save the image like, I guess. So file cb again. And here, what I'm going to do is cb null. And then date now, I'm going to get the date, okay, just so we know when this image was saved, in case we want to save multiple images. I'm going to get the date, format the date, and make it part of the file name. And then I'm going to just add a dash, just like so, and get the file's original name. So original name is something that it should come with, spelled lowercase. Great. So amazing. Storage is defined. Now I'm going to, so where's this finish? This finishes here. I'm going to use Malta, and I'm going to pass through the storage as the storage. And then this is going to work on a single file. Okay, so let's save this to upload so that we can use it later on. Okay, now let's write a route. It's going to be a post request. And if we post to the endpoint upload, then essentially we're going to get that image. So res just like that. And we're going to use the upload function here. And then again, this is just syntax from the documentation. And then we're going to also get the error if there's any errors in doing this. If there is an error, we're just going to return res status 500. That's for an error. And then as JSON, we're going to return the error so we can see it. Otherwise, if there's no error, I'm just going to save that image file path up here. So let file path, at the moment it's nothing, but then we can override it. So get the file path, and I'm going to just override it with the request file path. Okay, so essentially, if we make a post to the upload endpoint with an image, well, that image will be part of the request object, and the image is essentially a file, and then we can get the path name of it. Okay, don't worry if this doesn't make sense. I'm going to show you this in action right now. But for this, we need a front end. So done, we've made a root, right? So now on the front end, so on the app.js file, let's go ahead and maybe, should we create a form to check if this works? I don't really think we need a form. Let's make an input element. So I'm just going to give this the class name of app. I'm not going to start this up too much now. Let's leave that to the end. Let's just check this works first. So for this, I'm just going to, like I said, I think let's have an input. And to make sure I can upload images to this, I need to make sure that this has the type of file. Okay? Let's also give this an ID of file so we can pick it out later, especially for the label, because I'm going to give it a label. So here is our label, and it's going to say upload an image, just so it's really clear. And we're going to use HTML4, this input. So let's use the ID name of file. If you're finding it difficult to differentiate, we can change this to files and this to files, okay, just to make it really obvious that these two need to be matching. Cool. So amazing. Let's also say what this is going to accept. This is going to accept image, just like that. And this is what it looks like at the moment. It doesn't look very pretty, but essentially it says upload an image and then we choose a file. Okay, so amazing. We can choose a file easily. At the moment, nothing really will happen. So if I choose a picture of a cat, it will essentially show you the file name, but not much more than that. I'm actually also going to add hidden here. So add that as an attribute to the input element. And now you won't be able to see that button because I actually want to make the image upload on the label, as you saw. So as you can see, if I just click on here, the pop-up will show up. So that's just a trick if you don't want the ugly button and you just want to attach the function to the label. That's why the label was important. So cool. And maybe let's just choose the giraffe now. You won't see the file name show up anymore. So let's move on. I do want to actually save that whole image somewhere. So I'm going to choose to save it to state. So let's go ahead and import use state up here. Import use state from React. Okay, and this just means that I can save the state here. So I think let's just save it as image, right? Image, set image. And our image to start is going to just be null because we don't have an image. So cool. Just going to format that a little bit for you as well. Okay, so again, at the moment, null is assigned to image. And if we want to change the value of image, we use set image. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to use onChange to essentially do a bunch of things actually. So onChange, I'm going to write a function for this, upload image, because we do actually want to do a few more things. We don't just want to set the image, so I'm going to write them all in the function. Const upload image. Here is my function now. Okay, so in this function, of course, we do want to set the image. So here we go. And we're going to have to pass through an event for this because we're going to use event target files and get the first file from there. So I'm just going to show you the whole eTarget that I'm console logging out. Okay, actually, let's just stick files there as well so we can see all the files. So now let's go back here and just get up our console log. And if I upload an image, so I'm just going to upload an image of a cactus, you'll see the file list. You will see there's one in there. So I'm going to go in the first one. You'll see the whole object, right? So that's an object. We get the name of the file. we get the size, and we get the type as well. So we just really care about the name, right? But let's just work with the whole object because, you know, the type might be useful. So great, that's what I'm doing. I'm getting that first item and I'm saving the whole thing to the image, right? Because we're just getting the first one, so always be one image. So the naming of this is perfect. So once we set that image to image, I'm actually going to create form data from this. We can send the whole form data object to our backend. And in order to do this, I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to use new form data and call it and save this to the const form data. Okay, so now essentially I can do form data and append to the object a attribute of file with the value of that object. So essentially my image object. So that's now appended. I've set the image here to be the eTarget file as well, because I'm going to use this in order to actually display the image as well. So we've appended the image, like I said, to form data. We've set the image here. And once we're done with that, I'm just going to get eTarget value and just change it to be null again. Okay, we're kind of done with it. So now that we've set the image up here, I'm just going to actually get an image element. And actually, let's just show it. If image exists, then show that element like so. And the source of this is just going to be the image. Okay, but we need to pass it through URL, create object URL. Okay, so do that and then pass through the image. So now you will see the cactus showing up, just so we could see exactly what we're uploading. I think that's like a cool little feature. You don't have to have it at all if you don't want to. That's just a plus. Okay, so we're setting the image so we can see it, and now we are appending the image to the form data. Let's send that form data over to the backend. And in order to do this, I'm going to use try, and we're going to catch any error. So now let's just console log the error just for now. And what we're going to try to do, well, let's define our options that we want to pass over. So my options are the method of post, because we are writing this to a post endpoint. The method of post, and the body is just going to be our form data. Now you can append as much as you want to this form data. That's kind of why I chose to do form data. At the moment, we're just appending one thing, but if you need to append more information about the image, then it's easy to do using the append method, okay? So just keep that in mind. So those are our options. Now I'm going to use await, and we're going to fetch the endpoint, right? Because we use the await keyword here, we need to make this an async function. And what we're going to fetch is, I'm just going to use HTTP localhost, and then we get our backend, so 8000, and our endpoint was upload. And then we're going to pass through all the options with it. Okay, and we want to get the response of this. In fact, I'm just going to get the response JSON, and let's just save this to data like so. Cool, and then just console log it out like that. Okay, so that is my whole function to upload an image. So now in my backend, I should be able to essentially see whatever we upload in the public directory. Okay, so let's go back here. I'm just going to try this one more time. Upload, cactus, open. And now let's look back in here. And in the public directory, ta-da, we see that image. Okay, we use the date now with a dash and then the original file name. Okay, so if I click on here, you will see that image is now in our backend. Pretty cool, right? So we've stored the image in here. The next thing we want to do is actually send it over, you know, and ask a question with it, right? So I think let's do that next. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of that. Let's Going to minimize that for now. So on the app.js file, I think the next thing we want to do is add a text input. So we can, essentially ask a question about the image perhaps and send that over to the backend as well, so separately. So maybe let's just style this up a little bit first. So first, I'm just going to create a section. So here is my section, and I'm going to give this the class name of search section. Okay, so my search section is going to have a div, and this essentially I'm going to give the class name of image container, like so, and then I'm just going to whack in that image. So that's the whole image container with the image. After this, I'm also just going to have a p element, and this is going to have extra info. So let's go ahead. Maybe I'm going to do class name extra info, and let's open it up because I'm going to have a span in here, and essentially I'm just going to whack in that whole label along with the hidden input. Cool. So that's what it looks like at the moment. Here's the span, and now we're just going to have some text to ask questions about. So upload an image, space, to ask questions about. So that's the p element finished. Next, I'm going to have just another p element, and this will say, what do you want to know about the image, question mark. And in here as well, I'm just going to have a button. Okay, button, like so. Make sure to not have this capital. And this button, I'm going to give this the class name of surprise. And in here, I'm just going to put surprise me. Okay. And then I'm also going to have an on-click on this and a disabled if a response exists, right? Because if a response exists, we don't want to be able to press this button anymore. So cool. I'm also going to have a div after this, and this is going to have the class name of input container. And then in here, I'm actually going to have an input. So this is going to be the text input. So input like so. It's a self-closing element. And it's going to have a few things. I'm going to have the value, of course, so we can see what we are typing. Let's have a placeholder too. So placeholder, we can just put what is in the image. So we're kind of prompting people to ask that, I guess. And an on change of this, we are going to actually set the value of this. So I'm going to do E, set value, E target value. Okay, so that's something that we're going to actually save. Another thing we're going to do is just have two buttons. I'm going to do so after this input. However, we only want to see these buttons if there is no response and no error. So if there's no response and no error, then we want to show the button that says, let's just add the two tags. This says ask me, so let's go ahead and essentially ask the LLM about the image. And then on click of this, we're just going to call a function. I'm going to call this analyze image, just like so. Great, and I'm just going to copy this because we're going to have two buttons. This time, if there is a response or there is an error, then we show the button to clear. Okay, clear the chat, and on click of this, we'll write a function to clear. Great. We also want to show the error. So under here, if error exists, I'm going to actually show that. So and just a p element like that. That's going to have the error for us visibly. So show the text, and also a p element It's going to show if there is a response and show the P element. So just like that with a class name of answer. So the answer from the LLM, and then we'll just show the response from the LLM. Cool. So this is looking good. I think let's also do the surprise me on click. On click of this, I'm going to call the function surprise and disable this only if there is a response already. So we've already got a response from the LLM, right? So we don't need to use this button anymore. I've disabled it. Great. I think this is looking good. So now there's a few things we need to do at the top. However, this part is now done. Hopefully you got all of that. Okay, that was a lot of JSX to code. So a few things to do: define our function called clear, define our function called analyze image, and define our function called surprise. Also need to save the state of response and error, as well as value to state. So let's go ahead and do that up here. Okay, so let's do const value set value. Use state, and this is just going to be an empty string. Const response set response. Use state. Again, it's just an empty string for now. And then const error. Set error, of course. And this is, again, just going to be an empty string to start. Cool. So those are the things we're saving to state. I'm also going to define our surprise options. So surprise, making sure to spell surprise correctly. Options. And it's going to be an array. So we can have a few things. I already have some surprise options for the text of, you know, does this image have a whale? You know, just to kind of spur your imagination and just get a prompt for the text input randomly. So to get one randomly, we're going to define the function surprise, except I don't know if I spelled it correctly. So surprise, just like so. And I think I did surprise. Okay, so make sure surprise is spelled the same way here as it is here. And now to surprise, we're going to get a random value. So let's get our surprise options and then open up the array, pass through math floor. Hopefully you guys know how to do this. And then math random, call the function and just multiply it by the array length. So that is how you would get a random item from this array. And now let's save this to const random value. Cool. So then we can actually set the value as the random value from that array. Okay, so this will bring back either this string, or this string. Okay, and we are setting it as the value. So great. We now have a surprise option if we choose to click on the surprise button, or we can choose to, you know, fill out the text input. Let's just define our other two functions as well. So let's do so here, const analyze image, just like that, and const clear. Okay, so we can clear everything and start from scratch. Now, clear is actually pretty easy. We're just gonna do set image to be null, set value to be an empty string. So just resetting the values, okay, to the original ones, I guess. Set response and set error to be null. And analyze image, we'll do that in a bit. Let's just check everything is working for now. So what do you want to know about the image? Surprise me, and it'll give you a random string from the array. Okay, as you can see, it's different each time. So cool, or of course you can just fill in your own and that value will be saved to state. Amazing, but what good is saving it to state, right? I'm just going to show you that that's happening. Console log value, So the value is being saved. See, at the moment it's this, or it could be that. That is being saved to state. But we want to send this over to the back end, right, after we have an image. So great. Let's go ahead and do that in here, analyze image. So of course, we only want to do this if an image exists, okay? So if there is no image, I want to set the error of error. Must have an existing image, okay? So there we go. So then like nothing will happen, right? Because we're just going to return out of this. So make sure there's a string and return. However, if there is an image, everything is fine. Just correcting the spelling of existing there. So then we're going to try something and catch any error. So try once again and catch error. And then console log error. Now that we've actually saved errors to state, we can also set another error here. So we can do something like something didn't work, please try again. And we can also do so for here, right? So instead of just console logging an error, we can do set error. Something didn't work, please try again. Okay, your error message is up to you, but essentially now it will be shown in the app to the user. So what we want to try? Well, we want to try essentially post to our backend. So first off, I'm just going to set the response that we get back as an empty string, just in case there's any funky behavior happening. We just want to start fresh. And now what we're going to do is try, well, once again, we need to define our options. It's an object. The method of this is going to be a post method. And as the body, I'm going to pass through JSON stringify, and I'm going to create an object that's going to have the message attribute, and then I'm just going to have the value, okay? The value, literally that we console logged here, that's what we're going to send over to our backend. We're also going to pass through headers, so headers, content type, making sure that's a string. So just like so. And then we're going to do application JSON. Okay, so those are my options. So after my options here, I'm then going to use await fetch. And then once again, we're going to do HTTP localhost 8000, and then we can do OpenAI, because essentially that's what we're going to define our endpoint as. And we're going to pass through all our options. And of course, because this is await, we need to use the async keyword here. Okay, and then we can get the response of this. And then we're going to have to get that response. But I think first, let's work on this endpoint. So let's go back here and do that. So I'm just going to go down here. And after this endpoint, I'm going to do app post, because it's a post request. And then we're going to go to OpenAI, right? And once again, we're going to do request response, just like so. Cool. Now, the text, essentially, that we're writing in the input or selecting from our surprise list, that's going to be now saved to the request body as the message, right? Because the message was the attribute that we saved the value to. So I'm just going to define this as the prompt we want to pass through into our LLM. So there we go. Now, I'm just going to head over to OpenAI. And under products, I'm going to do my API login. And then I'm going to select API because I need to get my API key. So under API keys here, I'm going to create a new secret key. Let's call this app create key. And I'm going to copy this and keep it safe. Okay, so just please do that because we have used the .env package. I can, on the same level as the package JSON, just create a new file and just call this .env. So make sure the dot is there and add it. Okay, so in here now, I can actually define my OpenAI key and just paste it. Okay, so that's all I've done. I'm just going to minimize that and we can move on. Okay, so I'm just going to shut this down for now. That's all we need from there. Okay, so I'm just going to minimize that and let's continue. So great, we are getting the prompt. I'm just going to console log the prompt so you can see what is going on. So console log prompt, okay, just like that. And let's just check this works, right? So once again, upload an image to ask a question about. I'm going to upload a giraffe. What do you want to know about the image? Surprise me. Does this image have any puppies? And then if I click ask me in here, you will see in the terminal, does the image have any puppies? Is the prompt that we're console logging here. So this is working. And of course I can change this. So for example, is this a giraffe? Question mark, ask me. And we get, is this a giraffe? So we're getting the prompt. This is good. I'm just going to minimize that for now. Of course, we would have sent this over to OpenAI along with the image. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is first off, we need to actually import OpenAI. So I'm going to go up here. Let's do const OpenAI equals require OpenAI. And then here, I'm just going to do const OpenAI. So that's what we're going to use. First off, however, we need to get new OpenAI and pass through an object that's going to also have our API key, which we can get using process env to go into our env file, and it is called OpenAI key. So we should be able to get that string. So now we can use OpenAI with our OpenAI key. So if I get this, I can use all the wonderful methods and properties that come with it. So let's scroll down here. And now I can use OpenAI chat completions. And then I'm going to create, and then I'm pass through an object. This actually is async, so I need to await this. And then let's save this as the const response. Just like so. And of course, because we used await here, we need to make this async. And the object that I need to pass through, well, we're going to define the model, which for me is going to be GPT-4o. That's just the newest one at the moment and the cheapest. And then the messages that we're going to pass through, well, it's an array, right? And the first message I want to send over, well, our role is going to be as the user. And then the content that we're going to send over is, again, an array. The first object is going to have the type of text. So just do type text. And then the text itself is just going to be the prompt. So the prompt is the text we're sending over. And next, we're also going to pass through another object, just like this one. However, this time, the type of this is going to be an image. And actually, let's just get rid of all of this because we need to encode our image. So in order to do that up here, I'm actually going to use fs again and then read file sync, pass through the file path that we saved above, right, to the let variable, so the file path, and then we're going to pass through base64 to encode it. And then to save this as const image as base64, just like that. Just make sure to have an S there, so image as base64, just so it's more readable. Now here, the type of this is going to be an image URL. So just pass that through, and then we're going to have the image URL attribute. So there we go. And then I'm just going to make an object and pass through the URL. So just like that. And this time I'm actually going to use backticks. I'm going to have data, image, JPEG, semicolon, base64, then a comma, and I'm going to use some code to essentially pass through the image as base64. So I think that looks good. After this, let's just console log the response. And we should probably catch any errors. So I'm actually going to put this on try and catch. So try and then catch any error, console, error, error, and just get all of this, just like that, and stick it in the try. Okay, so hopefully that wasn't confusing. That's all I have done. Amazing, so that's really the whole thing. Let's give it a go. So this time I'm just going to upload an image of the cactus. What do you want to know about the image? Surprise me and ask me. So here, if we look in the terminal now, amazing. So here is the object that comes back to us. We pass through the image of a cactus. Does the image have any puppies? And then we get choices, and we should go into here to get the message. So in fact, if I got the response, and let's just get the choices and get the first item from there, and then let's just do it one more time. We have to clear this now because it's already done. We got a response, so clear. Once again, upload cactus. Surprise me, does the image have puppies? Ask me. And then in here in the terminal, we get this whole object. No, the image does not have puppies. It shows a cartoon-like cactus in a pot with a smiling face. So wow, this is looking so good. So now what do we want to do? Are we going to get the whole thing? I mean, you can, or you could just get the content. It is totally up to you, whatever you want. Maybe let's just go into it and get to the message content. So .message .content, that should be fine. So .message .content. And then let's send it over. So I'm going to do res send. Res send. And then all of that gets sent to our front end, okay, under the response. So let's get the response JSON, and then await this, and then I'm going to save it to the const text, right? Or maybe answer, whatever you want. And I'm actually going to save this to the response. So set response, we can see it in our app. So set response to be the text. So now we should be able to see that here. Let's do it right one more time. Upload an image. Cactus, open. Surprise me, ask me. And then we should see that showing up. It says unexpected token N, so invalid JSON. Don't worry, it's because we're not sending an object back, we're just sending some text essentially. So we could just do text. Upload image. Cactus, surprise me, ask me anything. And ta-da! No, the image does not have a whale. It shows a green cactus with eyes and a brown pot. And because we have our response, this is disabled. This doesn't say ask me anymore. It just gives the option to clear and amazing. So that's the only option we have now. We can't ask any more questions or anything like that. This is done. So cool, that is now finished. I hope you know how to build this. For those of you who are interested, I'm going to show you how to style this up in a super basic way. Or for those of you that aren't, I want to take this, make your own and style it up. Please take it now, it's yours. Just share what the finished product looks like with me, as I would absolutely love to see how you've taken this, made it your own, and taken it to the next level. So yeah, let's start this up. So I'm just going to go back here, and this is going to be super easy in the index CSS file. So I'm going to take everything and just do font family sans serif. Okay, so that will be applied to everything in there. The body, I'm just going to use margin 0, padding 0, width 100, viewport width, height 100, viewport height. Let's change the background color to be kind of an off-white that I've already picked out of FAFC. And then the color of the text is going to be this dark gray. So there we go. And then also I'm going to use display, flex, and then justify content center to center everything from left to right, thanks to display flex. So that is my whole body. Next, I'm going to grab a VP element and change the font weight to be 200. Okay, and then the font size of everything is going to be 14 pixels. And now the app itself, so let's grab the element with the class name of app. It's going to have the width of 90 viewport width, so a little bit smaller than the browser itself. And then let's grab the element with the class name of upload and just give it the font color of this purple that I have already picked out. And then the image container that actually holds our image, I'm just going to give it a height of 200 pixels. And I'm just going to use display flex in order to center everything from left to right. So once again, justify content center is what I'm going to do. And then margin is going to be 30 pixels. Okay, we're going to give it a bit of margin to space it out. Now, any image that lives inside the element with the class name of image container is going to have a height of 100%, so it fills the image container, okay? And now the search section, so the element with a class name of search section, is going to have a width of 100%. I'm going to use display flex to initialize flexbox, and I'm just going to do flex direction column to make sure that everything's spaced on top of each other, and justify content center to center everything. So at the moment it should look like this, so it's looking a little bit better. We still have a few more things to do, so this time I'm just going to grab the button that has the class name of surprise, just like so, and give it a background color. Again, I have picked this out already. Let's give the font this color of black. Let's give the border radius 5 pixel border radius. The font weight of this is going to be 600. I'm also going to give padding on the top and bottom of 4 pixels, 12 pixels on the left and right. A margin of 0 on the top, 0 on the right, 2 pixels on the bottom, and 5 pixels on the left, okay? And then a border of none. So you will see the surprise button is looking like this now. Pretty good. Next, let's grab the actual input container. So just like that, I'm going to move this up. Let's give it a width of 100%. Once again, I'm going to initialize flexbox just like so. Let's give it a border radius of 6 pixels, overflow, hidden, and a box shadow that I've actually already picked out. So there it is. Cool. Now any input that lives inside the input container is going to have a border of none, a padding of 13 pixels on the top and bottom, and 14 pixels on the left and right. Box sizing of this is going to be border box, just like so. Font size of this is going to be 15 pixels. Outline of this is going to be none. Width of this is going to be 90% of the parent, and font weight is going to be 200. Okay, so this is looking good. Next, I'm going to style the placeholder text. And the placeholder text, I'm just going to change the color of this to be this gray. And the font weight, I'm going to change as well to be 200. Now, the button that lives inside the input container, again, I'm just going to give it a min width of 10% to compensate for the 90% input. Border none. Let's give it a border just on the left side, because I want a line of 1 pixel. Gray, solid. Background color is going to be white. The color of the text is going to be this gray. The font weight, I'm going to just go with bold. And the cursor, I want to change the cursor. Okay, I want it to be a little pointer. So cursor pointer. Cool. 4 more things to go. I just want to essentially say that if the button is active now, so active, I'm just going to change the background color to be this gray. Amazing. And now anything with a class name of extra info as well, I'm just going to align the text to be center. Amazing. Next, I'm also going to have the answer, right? Because we have the response that has the class name of answer. And once again, this is going to have a box shadow that I have picked out already. So here is the box shadow. The padding of this is going to be 13 pixels on the top and bottom and 14 pixels on the left and right. Box sizing is going to be border box. Then we have the font size, which is going to be 15 pixels. Also the font weight, which is going to be 200, and the border radius, which is going to be 6 pixels. So that's really it. So now if we look in here, ta-da, this is what it looks like. I love it. I think it looks really good. Upload an image once again. Let's try this. Let's do it with the cat this time. So here's our little cat. What do you want to know about the image? Surprise me. Or does this image... Is this image cute, maybe? Ask me, and let's see what the LLM has to say about this image. Yes, the image of the cat is very cute. The cat's big, round eyes, and chubby face contribute to its adorable appearance. So this is looking good. This should now be disabled, and you only get the option to clear this prompt. So clear it, and we can start fresh. I love it. Looking back on this code, I don't actually think we need this e-target value to be null again. One thing I am going to do is here just set the response to be an empty string before uploading an image. So we can start fresh with that. One other thing you might want to do is just maybe wrap the extra info, so this P element right here, and just say if there is no response, show this. Okay, because if there is a response, we don't want to be able to upload any more images. So thanks so much everyone for coding with me. I hope you enjoy this. I want to see your projects, so share them with me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. I'd love to see.